4 just got even crazier, part 15.
Well, the US Coast Guard just released the first ever footage of the Titan submarine on the sea floor after it imploded last year. And we also found out that the last word transmitted by the crew inside was, "all good here." Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Next, LEGO just revealed they made a fully functional McLaren out of 342,000 LEGO pieces, and it took 8,300 hours to make.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, let me break it down for you guys, man. We break down the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys, man, who comes back to the channel each and every single day, watching the video entirely, commenting down below, and most importantly, man, hitting that thumbs up button. You guys are helping pushing us into the algorithm, man, so more people can find our content. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, Seekers. Let's do what we do best, man. You guys know what we do. Let's seek the truth.
Lies your parents told you as a kid that you still believe.
Alright.
That sitting too close to a screen will cause eye damage. While extended close viewing can cause eye strain and headaches, it won't cause any lasting damage. That milk builds strong bones. There are multiple studies that found that there is no evidence that drinking milk can prevent bone fractures or osteoporosis. And there's also studies that show that the people who drank more milk as teenagers had more bone fractures as adults. That if you go outside in the cold without a jacket or with wet hair, you'll get sick. This will not give you a cold, however, it does put stress on the immune system, so if you are vulnerable, you're going to be more vulnerable in the cold. That it's dangerous to stand in front of a microwave while it's cooking. Microwaves use a type of radiation that don't have enough energy to knock an ion out of an atom, and therefore they're not known to cause damage to DNA inside of cells. That cracking your knuckles leads to arthritis. And the crack you hear is synovial fluid filling that empty space you just created, and this doesn't cause any damage or weakness to the dirtiest things in the world by number of bacteria. Toilet bowls 51.2 million, bed sheets 72.3 million, toothbrushes 100 million, your mouth 6 billion, kitchen sponges 54 billion.
Cute animals that are actually extremely dangerous. Part 1. Although dolphins are known to be human-friendly, intelligent, and playful, they can also be one of the most dangerous animals if you upset them. They occasionally bite people with their sharp teeth. They can also kill you if they hit you hard enough with their nose, and also if they pull you underwater.
Let's see if you have nyctophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. Try your best to make it through all 5.
Here we
Let's
go.
start the test. How does this dark hole make you feel? How about walking home at night alone? Walking down this hallway with no flashlight? Looking out of the window and seeing this? Or looking out at night to see this figure? So how did you do? Did you make it through all 5? If not, then you could have nyctophobia, which is the fear of the night or darkness. Let me know if you have nyctophobia in the comments below. And remember to hit the plus sign and follow me to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
And if you see this guy, like you said, nyctophobia, I think I freaking passed with flying colors. None of those pictures bothered me, man. Being in the dark, being at night, I think I can deal with it, man. That's definitely like not one of my even top 10 fears, bro. So I know I passed that with flying colors.
The disturbing facts that may ruin your day. Your brain blocks out the feeling of your organs moving around inside of your body at all times. After giving birth, some women can feel their organs sliding back into place as their uterus shrinks. Human babies are helpless at birth compared to other animals because our brains grow so big. We evolved to give birth earlier in our development so that we don't severely hurt the mother while coming out of the birth canal. Your nose is always in your line of sight. Your brain just chooses to ignore it. You could look at any object and your tongue already knows what it feels like to lick it. You could have 2/3 of your liver removed and it would regenerate itself. If your immune system found out that you had eyes, it would attack them and you would go blind. No matter how hard you strain, you're only using about 60% of your full strength. If your brain didn't stop you, you could tear your muscles and break your bones just trying to throw a ball as hard as you can. When you hear about others lifting cars, this is thought to be the fight or flight adrenaline temporarily overriding that limit. If you have surgery and they have to take out your intestines, they put them in a bowl next to them while they work. Your intestines wiggle around in the bowl like snakes the whole time.
Most download.
And we survived that, man. Human beings are freaking incredible. Like I said, I didn't even know about the 60%. I was saying, imagine if we could actually use 100%, but I don't think, like I said, our bodies can take. We would tear ourselves apart. Well, you know, man. I guess that's why there's a limit, bro. It's a reason for everything.
Mobile games in the world. Subway Surfers 1 billion.
Good times.
Pokemon Go 1 billion. Mobile Legends Bang Bang 1 billion. Garena Free Fire 1 billion. PUBG Mobile 1.2 billion.
The most heavily protected places on Earth. Coca-Cola is super cautious about who they tell their secret recipe to. It originated in 1886 by a guy named John Pemberton. He put the formula in a safe until the year 2007. In 2007, it was transferred to a vault in the Coca-Cola Museum. Very few people have ever seen the formula, kind of like Mr. Krabs and the Krabby Patty. You know what I'm saying? Workers and even executives of the company aren't allowed to see the formula. And the ingredients actually come into the factory as unlisted. Some of the ingredients are on the label because of FDA regulations, but if you want to know the secret ingredient, the only way you can access that is through the vault. This boy made one last request before surgery, and when his parents found out what it was, they immediately broke down in tears. Jackson was a 9-year-old boy who was born with a cyst on the left side of his brain. When he was growing up, he was always in and out of the hospital and constantly getting tests done. Although Jackson has had many surgeries in his past, there was a big one coming up, and he was nervous for it. Finally, the big day came, and he was wheeled into the operating room and away from his parents. Then they hooked up his IV, and they were about to put him to sleep before something happened. He asked for one last request, and the doctor broke down in tears. The doctor granted his wish, and they started operating, but you seriously will not believe what the request was. Before I tell you what it was, I found a way you can live stream with no requirements. Like even if you have 0 followers. So if you want to live stream, just press right here. Jackson asked the doctors if they could perform surgery on his little teddy bear George. So they decided to do the operation on his teddy bear in the exact same spot that they were going to do it with Jackson. Jackson then went through the surgery and everything turned out great.
This guy took a video of his neighbor's window and saw this. Why are there so many flies? Well, most likely there is a dead body in there. So I went on his other videos to look for an update. And then 3 days later, the flies are still there and there's no context. Did this guy call the police? Did he let anyone know? This is crazy.
Man, y'all saw those flies? Something was definitely in there.
When they knocked on the door, no one answered, so they figured that maybe the homeowner was on the side of the house or in the backyard. So they just walked around the property, but when they could not find the homeowner, they decided to go back to their car. While the boys were walking around the property, a woman who lived on the property noticed that there were 2 trespassers, so she called her boyfriend, Brett Metz, who was the town councilman, to tell him what was going on. The boys were now in their car writing a note to ask for permission from the homeowner to take photos on their property, and as they were writing that note, Brett pulled up next to them. Brett got out of his truck, fired a round through the windshield, and struck the 17-year-old in his face. There was no kind of communication between the boys and Brett. Brett just resulted to firing immediately. When Brett had fired that shot, his response was, "Oh shoot, my gun went off." When deputies arrived, the 17-year-old was bleeding heavily from his face, but fortunately, he is recovering. As for Brett, he was arrested in connection with the shooting.
Did aliens create us?
People have to be way more careful.
Actually states that we are the aliens. I mean, why are we the most smartest advanced species on the planet? Why is there no equal species? We are the most advanced primates. The theory goes that during 6000 BC, an alien race called the Anunnaki came to Earth. They studied the species and were very interested in primates. Now look, the Anunnaki were very involved in genetic experimentation. They started messing with the DNA of primates and accelerated it, making evolution turn primates and and to us, Homo sapiens. They did this to leave their mark and carry their bloodline on this planet, creating a new breed of beings gifted with extraordinary intelligence and extraordinary consciousness. And then supposedly as we evolved, they slowly guided humanity, pushing us to what we have become today. And then they did their job and left. But they're always watching us, and that's why we always see UFOs hovering around the sky, never really doing anything but watching us. It's them checking on their creation. Now this is where it gets wild, because in ancient Sumerian texts, they described the Anunnaki as beings who could fly with elongated heads and said they were very wise. But what do you guys think? Did we just become from the normal nature of evolution, or were we created?
Let's talk about another...
Asking a valid question, Seekers, man. Do you think that's how we got our evolutionary jump from, I guess they said, promise to Homo sapiens? They came down from the sky and they did something to us to make us get the evolutionary jump, and that's why we be seeing UFOs and things like that in the air, but we can never identify them. They coming back and checking up on us? Man, these clips, bro. You always get the craziest theories, man.
One of the internet's most tragic stories, Opal. Opal is an Adult Swim short created by singer-songwriter Jack Stauber. You probably know him for hits like Peppermint and Buttercup. The video starts by showing us a happy family in a pretty white house singing to a young girl named Opal. Opal is quite happy in this scenario, as they each tell her that they see her and compliment her in different ways. But Opal sees a mysterious house through the window and it seems to worry her. Opal crosses the street that night despite the warnings of her family to visit the house. There she is greeted by an entirely different family that refers to her as Claire, and each is singing about their miseries. The grandfather is blind and has a smoking addiction. The father is extremely self-conscious of his looks and even insults Claire to make himself feel better. And the mother is dealing with various addictions and the trauma of an incident she was a part of. Opal runs from the family and locks herself in a room where she looks across the street towards where the happy house was. But instead she is greeted with a billboard. Anything look familiar? It bears a striking resemblance to the happy family scene earlier in the film. It is at this point that we realize that Opal is Claire and that the happy family is just a coping mechanism in her head. The film leaves us with this sad scene. And there you go, the sad story of a girl trapped with an abusive family, reinventing her reality within her head.
She literally made that film.
Let's talk about a terrifying horror game involving a demonic secret that the Catholic Church wants to keep hidden. Our Lady of Sorrow.
Okay.
Full playthrough on the channel. Our Lady of Sorrow is one of the many names given to Mary, the mother of Jesus. But what does this have to do with the horror game? Well, the game itself is actually a secret tape that the Catholic Church is hiding from the public. The Church claims that the footage is dangerous and should not be viewed by anybody. As you play through the tape, you discover that something is happening to the statues of Mary. And you learn that years ago, a woman who was thought to be a witch was burned at the stake right here at the church. Whatever was possessing her is still here. Explore both the grounds of the church and the crypt beneath to figure out what demonic presence the church is hiding. But the real secret and danger lies not in the church, but in the tape itself.
You guys gonna check that game out, Seekers? I'm not into horror games like that either, so I don't know.
Things you never knew the purpose of. These small buttons on jeans are called rivets, and they're placed in the places with the most wear and tear to prevent your pants from ripping. The tiny pocket on jeans is supposed to hold a pocket watch. It's a design from the 1800s. The bottom line of a solo cup is roughly about one shot. The second line is for wine, and the third line is for beer. The neck shape of a beer bottle is designed to incentivize you to hold it from there so that you don't warm your beer before you finish it. These static wicks on an airplane exist in order to reduce the chances of the plane being struck by lightning. The arrow on the gas gauge for your car points in the direction of which side the gas tank is on your car. These orange balls only exist to help make power lines more visible to low-flying aircraft. The dimpled ridges on a golf ball help reduce the drag when it's flying through the air, making it go further and faster.
The more you know, man. I know they put those on the power lines, the orange balls.
You get free Fila shoes. And this guy was about to make his attempt, but little did anyone know, he's secretly a hurdler.
Okay. It's like a Chico horror, man.
Not only did he complete the jump, but he exceeded it and took home a free pair of shoes.
animals definitely exist.
Easy
but I
dub for 'em.
refuse to acknowledge their existence based on principle. Number one. Oh my god. That's not real. That's a goofy goober. That's not a real animal. The Tibetan sand fox looks like you just told it a bad joke. It looks like it's really upset with you. It looks so unnaturally natural. It looks like it's bad taxidermy, but it's still alive. It looks like it knows how to talk, but it only does it when you're not around. The Potu bird, or the Patu bird, I don't know. That's a problem. That's a problem. If I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw this thing looking at me through the window, I would head down to the nearest rope store. That's as much as I can say on this app. Hey Tucker, how come you don't let your feet touch the bottom of the ocean when you go swimming in it? Oh, maybe because the hairy frogfish continues to taunt me with his existence. Oh my god, I can't imagine stepping on that. I'd cry immediately. I'm not gonna claim I know how God made animals, but when he was doing the fish, he really was running out of concepts. Just put more spikes on it. Just more spikes. It's gotta be different somehow, so just make it a hideous being.
I didn't even know half of that frog don't even existed.
Let's find out. I'm going to show you 5 photos. Let's see if you can make it to the end. First one. How about this?
I'm good.
Feeling uneasy yet?
I'm still cool.
Almost there. Last one.
Okay, the last one kind of got
Here
me.
are 3 real ways to survive encountering a weeping angel. For those of you who aren't aware, the Weeping Angels are a race of horrific alien entities who feed off the energy of human beings and bear the appearance of religious statues. The first rule you'll need to remember, if you're unlucky enough to encounter one of these creatures, is to never take your eyes off of it, no matter what happens. Weeping Angels are only able to move as long as they are not being directly observed, so as long as you keep an eye on them, you should be safe. However, the moment you even blink, your life will be at risk once again. Which brings us to our second rule. If you suspect there is an angel in your area, be sure to travel as a group. At some point while watching over an angel, you're going to need to rest your eyes. If you have someone watching with you, you can blink in shifts, ensuring that this creature is never able to catch you off guard. Finally, if you want to get rid of a weeping angel permanently, you'll need to beat it with your brain instead of your brawn. Because of their supernatural strength and invulnerability, it is impossible to beat an angel in hand-to-hand combat. However, if you can trick it into viewing its own reflection, or trick 2 angels into staring at each other, you will be able to permanently freeze them in time, successfully ensuring your survival. Tag a friend if you're watching this at night, and follow for more.
How to beat a weeping angel guide. See that?
2024 just got even crazier. Part 15.
Well, the US Coast Guard just released the first ever footage of the Titan submarine on the sea floor after it imploded last year. And we also found out that the last word transmitted by the crew inside was, "all good here." Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Next, LEGO just revealed they made a fully functional McLaren out of 342,000 LEGO pieces, and it took 8,300 hours to make. The car is powered by 768 LEGO electric motors, and it can go up to 40 miles per hour. The last time LEGO made a car was in 2018, and it was a Bugatti that could go 12 miles per hour. The fact that this McLaren can go 40 miles per hour is insane. Finally, Samsung announced they are currently working on a rollable mobile phone that could be released as early as late 2025. But just imagine getting a call, but you have to unroll your phone to answer the call. Do you guys think this is a bad idea or good idea?
This is wild.
What do you guys think, man? I think that Lego story really freaking hit me, bro. They really made a whole car? McLaren out of Legos? Fun fact, man, McLaren's kind of like my dream car, so that's insane to think about, man. It goes up to 40 miles an hour, too. You keep pushing the boundaries, man. One day, bro, I'm calling it. It's going to be a whole freaking... They're going to try to sell a Lego car. Like, legit, bro. People driving them on the road. Come back to this video, man. I said it first.
So the FBI are now saying that it appears that this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, which would make it the second time in only 3 months. Crazy. In the press conference, authorities say that a man was hiding in the bushes holding a long-range rifle with a scope attached pointed in Trump's direction. He also had 2 backpacks hung on the fence with ceramic tiles, which they believe could have been intended to make it used for makeshift body armor, and a GoPro, which they believe that he intended to record the whole situation with. Part I want to know more about. They say he was only 500 yards away from Trump before Secret Service agents saw the scope in the bushes and opened fire. Wild.
Facts that you probably didn't know until now. A lot of us are used to taking flights that last anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, but did you know that the shortest flight in the world only lasts 57 seconds? A Logan Air flight between Scottish Islands Westray and Papa Westray only lasts 57 seconds and travels a distance of 1.7 miles. Like, bitch, I could run that. Another fun fact is one about elephants. Did you know not only do they hear out of their ears, but they can also hear out of their feet? Typically, to hear normal distances, elephants will open their ears like that and scan back and forth to hear. But to help them hear noises that are far away, they'll freeze, lean on their front legs, and that's how they hear. And lastly, we all know and love Pringles. Who doesn't love a good Pringle? The man responsible for creating the iconic Pringles can is named Frederick Bauer, but that's not the fun fact. The fun fact is that when he passed away, it was his dying wish that his remains be put in a Pringles can. His children honored the wish. They even debated over which flavor can they should put him in, and they settled on the original.
Whoa.
This is the greatest coincidence of all time. Around the 1950s, there was a 15-person church choir in Nebraska that met every Wednesday at 7:15 p.m. for practice. But on the 1st of March 1950, something strange happened. It was a cold day, so the pastor, Reverend Klempel, stopped earlier at the church to fire up the furnace and went home for dinner. It was then time to go back to church when his daughter noticed a large food stain on her dress. So he told his wife to iron another dress, which made them uncharacteristically late for practice. A choir member named Harvey was also trying to get his 2 sons ready, as his wife was out of town and he wasn't as quick in getting them ready as she was, which meant he would also be late.
Okay.
Another choir member named Herbert lost track of time that day while writing a letter. Ladonna was a student who was trying to finish her homework that same day, but she was having problems with geometry. The S2 sisters were also in the choir, were having problems with their car, so they asked the struggling mathematician, Ladonna, to pick them up. The pianist, Marilyn Paul, had fallen asleep after dinner, and her mother, who was the choir director, was having problems waking her up, which would also make them late for practice. High school student Lucille lost track of time listening to a radio program, which meant her and her neighbor Dorothy would also be running behind schedule. Mrs. Leonard and her daughter had to stop by her mother's house before practice, and the mother had a lot of stories to tell that day. And chorister Joyce Black had no peculiar reason for coming late. She said she was just feeling lazy and wanted to rest a bit. The practice was scheduled for 7:20, and at 7:27, the church would erupt to a ball of flames fueled by a broken gas pipe. No one inside the church would survive the blast, except that there was no one inside the church. Because on that day, each of the choir members and their children were uncharacteristically late for the most random reasons. So do you think this was divine intervention, or it was simply the greatest coincidence of all time? Both more?
The name...
Man. That's a chilling story, bro. Like, all of them had, like, a reason for being late. Like I said, is that the greatest coincidence of all time or divine intervention, man? I'm gonna go with intervention. Because, like you said, the freaking whole church went up in flames and it seems like nobody was survived, but nobody was inside the church because it was all late. Every single last one of them, man. It's really hard to think about. Like, do you know how much of a coincidence that would have to be? That's like a 1 in a billion chance all of them would be late. Whew.
Jim Jones has haunted me ever since I learned about the Jonestown Massacre that claimed the lives of 908 innocent American civilians, making it the largest number of American deaths in a non-natural event preceding the September 11th attacks. Amongst the 908 victims was an outsized number of African Americans and a sitting congressman. But how did Jim Jones convince all of these people to follow his teachings? It's important to note most people will not blindly follow a stranger, but that they experienced manipulation and false truths about how one should live. The Emmy-winning team behind 9/11 One Day in America are now releasing a new docu-series called Cold Massacre One Day in Jonestown. It's a Hulu original from National Geographic that features never-before-seen footage, first-hand survivor accounts of Jim Jones, and a look at what really happened that fateful day in Jonestown.
What caught my attention the most was the never-before-seen footage, and I think this docuseries will help shed light on the story while giving power back to the voices of those who survived Jim Jones. Cult Massacre, One Day in Jonestown is now streaming on Hulu.
Should I check that out?
This manipulative teen killer thought he could get away with murder. 17-year-old Dylan Shoemaker made a desperate plea to the judge after beating his girlfriend's 23-month-old son to death. Shoemaker's defense attorney, Joseph Terranova, tried to get his client the minimum sentence of just 15 years.
Austin Smith was completely defenseless. It's a given. But there were other dynamics at work there, including my client's inability to either control his anger or frustration, and his inexperience in babysitting.
But Judge M. William Mueller saw through his tears.
The phone call to your mother from a holding center you stated, we got a quote from the court reporter. I am a 16-year-old woman. Probably all I have to do is cry in front of the jury, and they're going to feel sorry for me. End quote.
But Dylan Shoemaker was sentenced to 25 years to life for the second-degree murder of Austin Smith in 2013.
Fascinating as fuck. On Shrek. This was seen as a form of punishment known as getting Shreked.
Getting Shreked? You guys, seekers, man, that proves right there, bro. You never know what could happen, man. They got sent as a form of punishment, but Shrek, you know, that kicked off that franchise, man. So you never know, man, what life's gonna take, what road it's gonna push you down, man. One door closes, another opportunity opens, man. But that's crazy, man. I heard about that fashion guy, you know, who was in jail, but they liked him so much he became like a, I guess, big fashion star icon. I ain't kind of believe it at first, but it confirmed it. Tap in with us, man.
This mother and her 10-month-old baby were murdered by the cartel. 16-year-old Alyssa Perez was found deceased holding her 10-month-old baby, Nicholas, in a ditch in Tulare, California. Officers arrived to the home around 4 a.m. after someone called police about a large number of gunshots. When they entered the home, they found another victim in the doorway, and there were 3 more bodies inside, including an older woman. All the victims were murdered by a gunshot to the head, and 2 other women actually survived by hiding in a nearby trailer. It's been said that Alyssa tried to run away with her baby, but then she was found and murdered. Investigators believe that this was a gang-related attack and that they were trying to send a message. But after further investigation, police records revealed that the week prior, a search warrant was done on the property and guns, marijuana, and meth were found, which is why they concluded that this crime was drug-related. Police also mentioned that the manner and swiftness of the killings suggested that the men were experienced in murder.
So it was
What
targeted.
was the Cincinnati Crawler? In 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple of weird things happening in their home. Their 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain of seeing glowing eyes outside her window at night, and the feeling of being watched. One night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump onto his bed. Except that when he went to pet it, it wasn't the dog, but the Cincinnati Crawler, who immediately fled the scene. Till date, police think that the Crawler is responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. While some believe that he was an escaped convict, others believe that he was actually the victim of human experiments that may have been conducted by the family's dad. However, we only know what he looks like from a photo Claire snapped before he escaped, leading many to wonder.
We need to talk.
The Cincinnati Crawler. What the hell? And it's kind of weird that he's never been caught to this day, I'm guessing. Like, imagine, yeah, you think it's a dog you petting, and it's a whole person, man, just in your house wearing that type of mask. How would you guys respond? That's just something you don't even think about, man. How the hell did he get in the house? These are questions, man, we need to be asking ourselves.
Talk about this photo because Josh Maddox was found inside this chimney with his knees bent over his head. and he had been there for 7 years.
What
So what happened to him, and how did he end up stuck inside a chimney for that long? Allegedly, Josh went out on a walk one day and completely disappeared. Until one day, a builder from Colorado Springs wanted to demolish his old abandoned cabin. And that's when Josh was found curled up and mummified inside the chimney. But the strange thing is, even though his body was found with his knees bent over his head, there were no injuries or broken bones. The coroner who performed Josh's autopsy believes he crawled up the chimney himself, and he curled up in that position to protect himself from something. But this case gets even more bizarre from here. Not only was Josh found in such an unnatural position, but he was found only wearing a thermal suit. The rest of his clothes were in the cabin, neatly folded. So why would he fold up his clothes and then crawl up the chimney? The chimney also had a heavy steel mesh grate built into it, so it would have been impossible for anyone to slide back down the chimney. Many people disagree, but this terrible incident was eventually ruled as an accident, even though we'll never truly know what Josh wanted to protect himself from by crawling up the chimney. Follow for more.
Was that an accident? The hell?
If you're thinking about ignoring your gut instinct, don't. Here are 3 reasons why you should trust it. BuzzFeed user Vodka Sunshine said that when she was in college, there was this really cute guy in one of her classes. A week or 2 in, they had to work together on a small project, and she was pretty excited about the opportunity to get to know him. After speaking to him though, she got a really bad vibe from him, but nothing specific that she could put her finger on. She said that she lost all attraction to him and knew that she should keep her distance. A month or 2 later, their teacher announced that the guy had been arrested for murdering a girl he was dating. Reddit user Helios21 said that he was at a club on a boardwalk with some buddies in Puerto Rico. He said that he just didn't feel right and he told them that they should leave. They fussed and moaned, but eventually they all left. Before they even hit the parking lot, a massive shootout broke out inside the club. The front door guy was shot to death and a few of the people inside were as well. It was literal pandemonium, people screaming and running everywhere. The ride back to their place was quiet, but they all knew they got really lucky that night. Reddit user BreakTD said that over 20 years ago when he was 17 or so, 2 of his buddies came to pick him up to get the night started. He got in the back of their car, but as soon as he sat down, he had a feeling of impending doom rush over him. He said that he had never felt that feeling before, and never felt it since. He immediately asked to be let out with some excuse and said that they would catch up later. He got out, and he said the feeling quickly faded, so he went on about his day. About 2 hours later, he catches up with some other friends, and they immediately tell him that the 2 friends that came to pick him up earlier were involved in a major car accident. Both were seriously hurt and in the hospital. The accident happened about 10 minutes after they tried to pick him up. They both survived. The car did not survive though. It was struck in the passenger side rear right, where he would have been sitting. Reddit user BreakTD said that he was pretty positive after seeing the damage done that he would not have survived. The orphan.
Hey man, we gotta trust our gut feelings, because they, even though you know some people may try to knock and be like, you don't know what you're talking about, but no, your gut feeling, like if you feel something that's not right or you feeling vibe is off or something, just trust it. As it was shown here today, man, it can literally save your life.
Was based on a real story. In 2007, a 33-year-old Czech Republic woman named Barbara Squirlova used her rare disease, hypoparathyroidism, to pose as a 13-year-old girl and trick 2 sisters, Clara and Katerina Marova, into adopting her. She quickly took advantage of the schizophrenic sisters and manipulated them into joining a cult called the Grail Movement, which promoted child abuse and cannibalism, amongst other aberrations. Barbara soon got jealous of Clara's biological children and schemed to get rid of them. She broke things and pinned the blame on the 2 children and convinced the 2 sisters that they needed to be punished in the form of torture. Eventually, a neighbor caught the signal of a wireless camera and reported them to the police, but not before Barbara posed as a 12-year-old girl called Annika and got adopted by another family, fleeing the country. Eventually, she was caught and extradited to the Czech Republic. But did you know that
she pulled that off 2 times? How the hell does she do that?
enough of my videos, you probably think you know what's in that suitcase, but you're wrong. In May of 2004, several pieces of luggage washed up on a shore in Virginia, each case containing the body parts of an unidentified person. Immediately, an investigation was launched, and a facial reconstruction of the body led to Melanie McGuire. Melanie, who was having an affair with her boss, had purchased a gun and shot her husband Bill multiple times. She then dismembered his body, packed it into 3 separate suitcases, and dumped them into Chesapeake Bay. And on July 19th, 2007, at the age of 34, Melanie McGuire was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
So a crime? Like, what the heck?
Cameron realized he was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Cameron was a normal 18-year-old boy living in Tampa, Florida in 2018. He had also recently graduated high school, and to congratulate him, his parents got him a black Ford Mustang.
Damn.
On May 23, 2018, Cameron and his brother Tristan had gone to a local gym. While they were there, they had also run into an old friend of theirs named John Barreneau. Once they were done at the gym, all 3 of the friends got into their cars. Cameron and Tristan were in the black Ford Mustang, while John was in his own car. As they approached a street light, both of the cars were side by side, and that's where they got the brilliant idea to do some street racing. Both of the cars sped up very quickly, reaching over 100 miles an hour.
Sheesh.
At the same time, a mother and her young child were crossing the street. Unfortunately, the cars were just going way too fast in order for her to make it across the street in time. Her name was Jessica, and her daughter's name was Lilia. And unfortunately, it was a direct hit. John was able to swerve past her, but unfortunately, Cameron ended up hitting her head on. All Cameron could do was watch Jessica and Lilia's bodies fly into the air as he hit them. Moments after the crash, Jessica's husband David Robinalt passed by in his own car. At the time that he was passing by, he had no idea that his wife had just been involved in a major accident. He noticed there was a huge crowd of people looking at the accident, but he just wanted to get home and hope that no one had gotten hurt too badly. David then tried to call his wife, but she wasn't answering, and when he went home, she wasn't there either. He then figured that she must have seen the accident, so he went to go see for himself. And when he got there, that's when he noticed that his wife and baby stroller was right there in the middle of the street. Immediately, chills went down his spine when he realized that his wife and daughter had been the victims of this horrible accident. Unfortunately, Jessica passed away the same day as the accident, and Lilia tried to fight, but she passed away the following day. Immediately, both Cameron and John were charged since they were the ones driving. John took a plea deal and was given 6 years in prison with 15 years of probation. Cameron took an open plea, but to his surprise and his family's surprise, he was given 24 years in prison. And right away, people were absolutely torn about this decision. The judge believed that Cameron had shown no remorse, and he also had a history of racing recklessly. Meanwhile, supporters of Cameron believed that the punishment was way too harsh, considering that he was 18 years old when the entire thing happened. And today, he's still in prison. Let me know what you guys think. It's time for...
What do you guys think about that? I mean, he had a history of that, man, and I knew once you said it was side to side, man. People were really thinking it's Fast and Furious idea. It's not, man. It's real life. You just can't race all over the streets because you never know what's going to happen. And look at the end result.
For cookies and crime. We're still on the topic of love or lack thereof, and this case is Clara Harris. Clara Harris was a Colombian immigrant and was named Mrs. Columbia Houston and worked as a dentist. She married David Harris on February 14th, 1992. Coincidence? I think not. David was an orthodontist, and together they owned a chain of dental offices. They had successful businesses, and the couple was able to afford an upscale home and lifestyle in Friendswood, Texas. On the outside, they seemed happily married. They had 3 kids, a nice house, and a couple of expensive cars. Life was great right up until David admitted he was having an affair with his former receptionist. Desperate to keep her husband, Clara tried everything to win him back. She quit her job and began working out. She dyed her hair, worked on her tan, and even scheduled a breast enhancement surgery. But when her plans failed, she got even more desperate. Clara hired a private detective to tail the 2 lovebirds, and on July 24th, 2002, she got a call.
The investigator had followed the couple to the Nassau Bay Hilton.
Oh man.
And to add insult to injury, that's the same hotel where Clara and David had gotten married. Infuriated, Clara grabbed her keys and her 16-year-old stepdaughter, David's biological daughter, and sped off in her Mercedes. When she reached the Hilton, Clara stormed inside the lobby and attacked her rival, staring at her until they were escorted outside by hotel security. Still on a high of adrenaline and furious, Clara rushed back to her car, and as the adulterers walked away outside, she hit the gas,
with
her stepdaughter in the car. The car slammed into David, sending him into the air, and even before touching the ground, Clara hit him again. This time, she waited for David to land before running him over 3 times. Ironically, her private investigator was there and had recorded the whole incident. Clara's daughter spoke against her having been in the car. She was found guilty of murdering her husband, and on February 14th, 2003, a trend here, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison, the maximum sentence allowed by the jury's sudden passion finding. The murder was ruled a crime of passion. I don't know about you guys, but I find the ruling of crime of passion so interesting because it's a ruling that considers people's emotions and how sometimes it's so uncontrollable it makes us do crazy things. Clara was released on parole May 11th, 2018 and was released from parole this month.
Careful who you get in a relationship to, man. See, because I've been saying
This is
that.
part 2 on the case of 16-year-old Susana Morales and how a police officer has been accused of murdering her. Near Susana's body, police found that belonged to 22-year-old Miles Bryant, who was currently a police officer for the Doraville Police Department. When detectives discovered that a police officer was found near the crime scene, they were very confused. I mean, this can't really be a coincidence. They start looking deeper into Miles, and that's when they discovered that on July 27th, Miles actually reported as missing. He claims he accidentally left his truck unlocked and that someone broke into the truck, they stole his weapon, they stole his military ID, and they also stole his wallet. Now, Miles filed this police report at around 11 a.m. on July 27th, just 2 hours after Susana's family had reported her as missing. Now, what are the odds that this guy's weapon was stolen 2 hours after Susana was reported missing? And then that same weapon was found near Susana's body. Just didn't make sense, so detectives looked further into him, and that's when they discovered that Miles Bryant actually lived at the Sterling Glen Apartments, the same apartments that Susana was at the night that she disappeared. Not only did he live there, but he also worked as a courtesy security officer for the building. Now, all of this is no longer a coincidence, so on February 13th, 2023, 22-year-old Miles Bryant was arrested and charged for the murder and kidnapping of 16-year-old Susana Morales. He was also accused of filing a false police report since he claims that his weapon was stolen, but in reality, it wasn't. When Susana's family heard that a police officer was arrested for her murder, they just couldn't believe it. They said that a police officer being involved was the last thing that they ever suspected. They never thought to themselves, oh, maybe a cop did it. Like, this was just so surprising. Family says that they had no idea who Miles Bryant was and that they don't believe that Susana knew him. Police have also come out and said that they haven't been able to find any type of connection between Susana or Miles Bryant. This possibly is a stranger-on-stranger crime. So this is what police think happened. The night of July 26, 2022, Susana Morales did leave the Sterling Glen Apartments at around 9:40 p.m. Then, somewhere between 10 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., detectives believe that Susana encountered Bryant and that he possibly offered her a ride home. He did have his patrol car with him. He would always take it home with him. So police don't know if he did use his car or his power as a police officer to lure Susana into his car. Maybe he saw Susana walking home by herself and he decided to approach her and said, oh, I'm a cop, I can give you a ride home. It's possible that he did use his power as a police officer to get Susana to get inside his vehicle and to trust him. Detectives believe that somewhere between 10 p.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning on July 27th, Susana was killed. The cause of death has not been revealed yet, but at this time detectives don't believe that she was... Yes, the weapon was found near her body, but they don't believe that's what killed her. As police dug further into Bryant, they discovered that he had a history of stalking and harassing women. For now, Bryant remains behind bars, and I just really hope that Susana Morales gets the justice that she deserves.
Buster Murdaugh has finally put out a statement. Buster is the son of Alec Murdaugh, a former South Carolina lawyer who was recently convicted of murdering his wife and son, aka Buster's mother and brother. Buster testified for his father's defense in the trial, but there have also been a lot of rumors and suspicion around Buster's involvement in the death of a 19-year-old man, Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith was found dead on the side of the road on July 8th, 2015. One pathologist said that it seemed that he had been hit by a vehicle. However, the team that responded to the scene said that there were no vehicle debris, no skid marks, or injuries consistent with someone being struck by a vehicle.
Really?
There was no real evidence that he was struck, but his death basically was ruled accidental. About 2 years ago, when investigators started looking into the deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, they also reopened the investigation into Stephen Smith's death. This was because of information that they learned while investigating the murders. There has recently been a lot of suspicion online that Buster and or Paul could have been involved in Stephen's death. Since then, Stephen's family have raised money to exhume his body and do a private independent autopsy. They are seeking a new, unbiased look at his body and an accurate determination of his cause of death based on facts. This will be happening soon, and they are hopeful that he will get justice. Since Buster's father was convicted of the murders, there's been a lot of suspicion around him and his potential involvement in Stephen Smith's death. Nothing has been proven, and it's all alleged so far. But today, Buster Murdaugh came out with a statement. He said, "I have tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and brother. I love them so much and miss them terribly. I haven't spoken up until now because I want to live in private while I cope with their deaths and my father's incarceration. Before, during, and since my father's trial, I have been targeted and harassed by media and followers of this story. This has gone on far too long. These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false." He continued, "I unequivocally deny any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family. I am requesting that the media immediately stop publishing these defamatory comments and rumors about me." So as I said, everything that has come out about Buster's potential involvement in Stephen's death is alleged. Nothing has been proven. Hopefully, the new independent autopsy will provide some answers and clarity as to what happened to Stephen. And hopefully, if he was killed by somebody and his death was not an accident, he will get justice.
What do you guys think, Seekers? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't adding up about the case, but they said it was alleged so far. I mean, we're just going to have to check that up and see if anything else happened with that case. To see if there's more to it. Sounds like it.
Story of Khaleesi William, a 16-year-old girl murdered while recording what would be her last TikTok video. Disclaimer: the video is to bring awareness to Khaleesi Williams' story and meant to cause no harm. Please pray for the friends and the family of the victim. Atlanta, Georgia, gained national news in 2020 after a horrifying death of a young girl. In December 2020, Khaleesi Williams, a 16-year-old high school student, received an invite to a party that was going to be held at an Airbnb. This party would be chaperoned by an adult. Khaleesi's stepfather, Ronnie Savoy, encouraged her to go to the event since she had been confined to her house since the lockdown due to COVID-19.
Okay.
Supposed to be at an Airbnb with a couple of more friends from school and the mother. They'd have done this once before, so we was a little comfortable of letting her go the second time. And we spoke to the mother, and she said she was going to be there.
April Smith, Khaleesi's mother, agreed with her daughter getting some time out of the house and enjoying herself. The chaperone informed Khaleesi's parents that the event would be an Airbnb party for children, and that she would be responsible for everything. The parents felt at ease and decided that sending Khaleesi to spend the night would be good for her. At 12:02 a.m., Khaleesi is seen performing a dance routine in her TikTok video when someone suddenly entered her room without knocking. The teen looked shocked and afraid, then suddenly stopped filming her video. The sound of gunshots could be heard from her room a few minutes later. Partygoers were unaware of what happened to Khaleesi. Two guys discovered Khaleesi on the floor of her hotel room. They carried her to the elevator while holding her from behind and supporting her legs. As of 12:27 a.m., authorities had been notified about an earlier disturbance at Hyde Regency. Following their arrival, the cops went to check on Khaleesi. She wasn't breathing and had no pulse. She was then transferred to the hospital, where she remained for some time. The medical staff tried to save Khaleesi's life but were unsuccessful. The 16-year-old was pronounced dead in the hospital. Khaleesi's parents called the chaperone to check on the well-being of their child, but were only informed about their child's death 8 hours after she passed. It was a shock to Khaleesi's parents to learn of what had happened to their daughter. They were enraged because the chaperone had failed to tell them sooner of the occurrence.
The hotel room was in her name, so I feel like she should be held accountable for my daughter's death as well.
They didn't learn the group was staying at a Hyatt Regency until they received a horrific call the next day.
Like, this is the morgue. And I was like, the morgue? They was like, yes, ma'am. They was like, well, we're waiting on your daughter's body to come through.
What the fuck?
I'm like, whoa.
Khaleesi's parents say that call didn't come until 8:45 a.m. The teen was pronounced dead at 12:23 in the morning.
Khaleesia's parents were also unaware that the party had moved to Hyatt Regency Hotel instead of the Airbnb that was previously discussed. The parents felt like the chaperone should be held accountable for the tragedy that happened to their daughter, since she took responsibility for the safety of the children at the party, and her parents only allowed Khaleesi to attend the party on the assurance that the chaperone would look after her. The Atlanta Police Department reports that Khaleesi knew her attacker. Anthony Grant, the police spokesman of the Atlanta Police Department, reported as follows. Preliminary investigation suggests that the victim was inside of a room at the Hyatt Regency with a juvenile male companion. A verbal dispute occurred between both parties which resulted in the juvenile male fatally shooting the victim. The juvenile is a 16-year-old boy, but identity is being concealed. The 16-year-old boy was taken into custody by Atlanta police and taken to Atlanta Police headquarters for additional questioning. At this time, the boy admitted to shooting Khaleesi after they got into a heated argument. Police then arrested the boy and charged him with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a gun by someone younger than 18 years of age.
Damn.
The defendant is now being tried in an Atlanta court pending the court's ultimate judgment. Khaleesia's parents also hold the hotel staff responsible for her child's death, and they protested outside of the Hyatt Regency Hotel along with supporters to express their outrage at the hotel's negligence that resulted in their daughter's death.
I want the surveillance footage of what happened.
Normal looking photos that have his brother, along with Tiffany, didn't find out the truth for 15 years.
Those photos telling the truth.
Crawler. It was taken by a family who caught him in their home in 1974, but he escaped shortly afterwards.
What?
So in 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple weird things happening in their home. The 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain about seeing glowing eyes outside of her window at night. And then one night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump up onto his bed. But when he went to go pet it, it was not the dog. It was the Crawler, who police still believe was responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. Some believe that he was an escaped convict, while others actually believe that he was the victim of human experiments happening in the area that may have been conducted by the family's dad. Claire snapped this photo of him before he escaped, but he was never found since.
It sure looks like a human experiment. That's for sure. What do you guys think?
Nance, the man guilty of killing 8 people. 7 of those people were her family members, and 1 was a random stranger just minding his own business. For a total of 8 people dead in 3 separate locations.
3?
This happened in Joliet, Illinois. They thought all of these shootings were random at first, but one common thing was his red Toyota Camry with the same license plate at every single scene of the crime.
Targeted?
On Monday, officers announced that a manhunt was launched for Romeo Nance. They also put out a warning that he is armed and dangerous. However, later that night, the news definitely changed when they found this information out. Nance was spotted in Texas, over 1,200 miles away from Illinois. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was also charged with aggravated discharge of a deadly weapon against a woman a few years ago also. But he got out on bond in 2023. Many residents in the area were frightened by this. They all also thought this was a random string of crimes as well. Very unfortunate story. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. To kill 8 people, mainly family members, is just absurd. Very unfortunate loss of life. And reminder, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Blood-curdling facts
What was
that
the
you wish
purpose?
you never knew. Part 22. In the 18th century, you could bring your cat or dog to the London Zoo and actually pay your admission by feeding it to the lions.
What?
Bus seats are specifically designed so you can't tell how dirty they really are. When an octopus reproduces, it removes its penis and throws it at the female so she can impregnate herself, and then he grows back another one. Oysters are actually alive when they're served. They don't die until you eat them. In Australia, there's a plant called the gimbi gimbi, which has such a severe sting that when horses brush up against it, they actually throw themselves off a cliff because they would rather die than experience the pain. Live chat support agents can see what you type before they send it so they can reply quicker.
What the?
Spider rain, yes, you heard me right, is a real and naturally occurring phenomenon.
What creeped you out the most? What's up there? What the fuck?
We need to talk about one of the...
We saw that, right? We all saw that sequence. There's something that flashed, but they ain't see. You always gotta double check your work, man.
worst accidents that ever happened on a horror film set, because I don't really see this moment talked about much. So this accident happened on the set of The Exorcist, which is already a movie that plenty of people think was cursed, hence why I did a whole episode about it. But in the movie, Linda Blair plays this little girl named Reagan who was possessed by a demon. And the way that the film shows you that she's possessed are by these contraptions that they built for her. This is one that makes her levitate, but there was also this one that made her thrash around. To use this device, Linda had to be sewn into a plank, that way her back was supported while it was thrashing around. And mind you, the people controlling this device were adult men, and Linda was a child. So during one take, Linda actually became untethered from this device, meaning that her back was no longer supported. And you can see it in this take, but watch as she starts crying after the director calls cut. That's because Linda had just broken her spine. The director and the other adults in the room all thought that she was acting up a storm when in fact her screams and cries were from her spine being fractured. Anyways, that's only one of the many wild things that happened on this set, so check out the episode for more.
That's some bad energy on that movie.
His father is a 6-year-old Corey Micholo from New Jersey. On March 20th of 2021, Corey and his father, Christopher Greger, were seen entering the Atlantic Heights Clubhouse Fitness Center. Corey was placed on a treadmill and began running. Footage from the clubhouse captured Christopher walking up to the treadmill, increasing the speed and raising the incline.
Why?
These sudden changes were too much for Corey's legs, which caused him to fall down multiple times and slide off of the treadmill. Christopher is then seen lifting Corey up from the ground and tossing him back onto the treadmill. This caused Corey's legs to fold backwards, and then Christopher is seen clamping his teeth onto Corey's head. On April 1st, after Corey had so many bruises on his body, his mom urged his father to take him to a pediatric appointment, and at this appointment, Corey revealed that his father made him get on that treadmill because he was too fat. The next day, after Corey woke up from a nap, he felt nauseated, he was slurring his words, and he was stumbling. That is when Christopher took Corey to the hospital. Corey's injuries were so severe he had suffered a seizure during his CT scan. That day, just before 5 p.m., Corey was pronounced dead. An autopsy was done and it revealed that the reason why Corey had died was because of blunt force injuries. This included acute inflammation and sepsis. Christopher was initially charged with child neglect after the treadmill video came to light. However, in September of 2021, a forensic pathologist had determined that Corey's death was a homicide. This was due to chronic child abuse, blunt force injuries to his chest and abdomen, and a laceration to his heart. On March 9th, 2022, Christopher was arrested on murder charges connected to Corey's death. He turned down a 30-year plea deal and now faces life in prison if convicted.
Here are a few of the worst mechanophobia images I've ever seen. Part 3. This is apparently real. I don't know where it is. Apparently it's in Italy, or it looks like it's in Italy. I might be completely making that up. But here's it from another angle. Could you imagine swimming in a boat and seeing that? I don't know how deep it is underwater. I don't know if it's held up by pipes. I don't know if it's held up by scaffolding. I don't know if it's just the whole arm. I don't know if it's a whole sculpture. Terrifying.
It is. I wonder how deep in water that is, like what she said. Just seeing hands out of nowhere, that would freak anybody out.
This very strange video is circling the internet. It was supposed to be this very strange phenomena happening in the middle of the ocean. A couple of people inside of a boat captured it on camera. I'm going to show you guys the entire video.
Okay.
Some people are relating this to underwater volcanoes, but I'm not exactly sure if this is the case. I'm going to show you guys the video. You tell me what you think is going on here. Check this out.
What are we seeing? What the hell is that?
Pay attention, look at the size of this thing.
That's what we're examining? Is that really an underwater volcano? It's just sprouting up? Why this ain't making national news or something?
Look at this over here.
That's concerning.
What's going on here, guys? What is your take?
What do you guys think? Down below.
Let's talk about this picture. This is why if I ever have kids, I'll never let them use the bathroom alone. A 7-year-old girl and her mom were headed to Target, and she was getting some clothes for school.
Okay.
Her mom also wanted to grab some snacks for movie night. So while her mom went to go grab popcorn and other snacks, she told her daughter to go pick out clothes for school. When her daughter finally finished and picked out the clothes, she went up to her mom and said something strange happened. A sad pale lady had came up to her, telling her that she wished she could have her own daughter that looked just like her. The mom, who thought the daughter was just joking around, laughed it off and said, "Let's go." While heading to the register, the daughter shook her mom and said, "That's the lady who told me she wanted a daughter just like me," pointing at a mannequin. The mom laughed, thinking the daughter was still being silly. You know how kids have wild imaginations, always playing around. While at the register, the daughter had to go to the bathroom. So the mom told her to hurry up. It was only a couple hours down, by the way. While in the bathroom, the daughter texted the mom saying the pale lady's in here who wanted a daughter. The mom, trying to get in a rush back home to her other kids, said, "Hurry up, we have to go. Stop playing around." 10 minutes later, and the daughter never came out. The mother, who was waiting outside the bathroom at this time, rushes in the bathroom to see what the heck is going on. The daughter was nowhere to be found. She even checked the stalls to see if her daughter was hiding, standing on a toilet or something. On one of the stalls, she found her daughter's cell phone on the floor. By the way, if you made it this far in the video, comment down below your favorite fruit. Mine is mangoes. When she checked her phone, this was the last image found in it. Police still to this day have no explanation on what happened to that little girl.
Did you guys know that
The hell
mermaids
happened?
exist? So this tall drink of water is a fisherman off the coast of Massachusetts. And on his travels, he likes to document the things that he sees out in the ocean.
Alright.
What he catches this night is irrefutable evidence of the existence of mermaids. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's not irrefutable evidence, it's just very strong evidence of the existence of mermaids. Check it out.
Let's keep an open mind.
We got another one over here. What are those?
Oh, we definitely see something swimming alongside him in the water.
What the fuck's going on?
Whoa.
On each side of the boat? What are those trails? What's something swimming fast underneath that water? Something swimming real fast underneath that water. I hear him. Where's he at? What the fuck is that noise, bro?
Is that the siren song they sing?
What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it.
We hear that.
Oh my god. That's crazy. That's
Jump?
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington in Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a dog companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
Are they connected? I never even thought about it like that before. Interesting theory. We definitely gonna have to check that out, man. They have some similarities. Can't lie. That's an edit. Call it like I said.
This pastor is being accused of unaliving his own wife. This case is currently ongoing, but it's been so highly suggested, so this is what we know so far. On April 28th, Pastor John Paul Miller made the shocking announcement at the end of his church service that his wife, Micah, had unalived herself. He then asked everyone to leave quietly and not discuss his wife's death. Micah's family and friends do not believe this cause of death and have taken to social media with the hashtag Justice for Micah. John Paul also wrote Micah's obituary where he talked mostly about himself, not even Micah, who was the one that passed away. He also painted their marriage as like a perfect relationship, which is really odd considering that Micah filed for divorce and a restraining order against her husband only days before her passing. In the weeks prior to Micah's passing, she was sharing on Facebook about abusive relationships and really just hinting that something wasn't right. A friend of Micah's has come out and confirmed that Micah told her that there was abuse in the marriage and also that church funds were being used for things not church related. And since more friends and family of Micah have come out with similar accounts. Also been some speculation that John Paul was having an affair, a years-long affair with this woman that he's been seen in the days before and the days after Micah's death. That woman's husband also passed away in a really suspicious way, but that's just online speculation for right now. The investigation is currently ongoing, so hopefully we have answers really, really soon. But in the meantime, make sure to leave all your thoughts, theories, questions, and case suggestions in the comments for me.
She went on Instagram Live and did something so evil that by the end of it, he took his own life. This is the worst thing an influencer has ever done, and I'm giving you the whole story. Hang on. 100,000 people tuned in to watch trans beauty influencer Sophia Talouni go live. Then she invited one of her fans to join and asked if he was gay. And in Morocco, being gay is very dangerous. He said no. Then she showed screenshots of him on Grindr, a dating app for gay men. She said if he doesn't recognize himself, she would show more revealing pictures. So he said he was gay and quit the live. Then she told everyone on the live to download Grindr and look for their sons and husband. And men began disappearing. They were beaten up by their families, and at least 2 people, including this young man, took their own life. But isn't Sophia trans? Her family rejected her, and she wants others to experience it too. Instagram deleted her account, but she was never punished in any other way.
That's a messed up story.
Imagine living with a dead body for 5 months. It was March 2011 in Penwortham in Lancashire. Police received a very strange anonymous tip-off which led them to a local house in the area. There they discovered 54-year-old former lorry driver Guy Blackburn lying deceased in a bed. The man was taken away from the property to undergo a post-mortem. It was clear, however, that he'd been dead for a very long period of time. Now, Guy had been living at the property for a long time, but his health had recently been worsening. He became so unwell that he was unable to leave the property at all. Neighbours got worried about Guy after they hadn't seen him in a few months. Guy was living with his son, 28-year-old Christopher. Now, Christopher was actually a dad to a 10-year-old daughter of his own. Christopher had told his daughter that her granddad was simply asleep. Neighbours would ask Christopher how his dad was, to which he replied, yeah, he's fine. However, they began to get suspicious. The post-mortem came back and confirmed that Guy had actually passed away due to heavy drinking and heavy smoking.
What the
He'd been deceased since around November 2010. Christopher admitted to living in the house with his dad's dead body. He said he did this in order to claim benefits. He claimed income support and was withdrawing money out of his dead dad's bank account. By the time he was caught, he had claimed nearly £2,000. He admitted to preventing the lawful burial of his dad and stealing money, and he was jailed for 3 years.
Why aren't more people
Just
talking
for money,
about
man.
the huge updates
Evil.
in the Laken Riley case, y'all? Check this out. Clark County Sheriff's Office released the mugshot of this guy, Jose Antonio Ibarra. He's a 26-year-old guy that's being held on charges in the red room of this girl right here, 22-year-old Laken Riley. And in case you don't know, she was a nursing student in Georgia, and her body was actually discovered in like a forested area behind Lake Herrick. One of the craziest parts about this case too is that there appears to be no motive. And Jose here apparently didn't even know Laken at all, which is really scary because investigators are saying that it looks like it was just a crime of opportunity. And it doesn't stop there. Apparently Jose isn't a U.S. citizen and he never even attended the University of Georgia.
What
and if you thought I was done there, you'd still be mistaken, because apparently his brother here, Diego, was arrested for having a fake green card. Diego here says he is too afraid to return to Venezuela, so the Department of Justice is actually keeping him in state custody, and he's awaiting an asylum hearing. Y'all, this case is crazy as hell. Leave a like, follow if you like true crime, and leave some comments. Y'all, let me know what you think about this one, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Some twists and turns, man.
What are you doing? Dad? Dad? What are you doing?
So just like the caption says, that girl gets locked in the basement by her father. That father does so many sick and twisted things to his daughter that you would never believe that this was actually based on a true story.
Come again?
That movie is called A Girl in the Basement, and it's available right now at mylifetime.com/watchripped, so go ahead and watch it. It's so disturbing, but it's such a great movie that you need to watch it. Thank you, Lifetime, for sponsoring this video.
You guys gonna check that out? Those crime movies, man. All this media and stuff we're watching that based on true stories. We just gotta open our eyes to it and pay attention.
This woman laid on a couch for 12 years until she was basically melted to it. So have you ever heard of Lacey Fletcher? Lacey's parents were Sheila and Clay Fletcher. They moved to Slaughter, Louisiana about 28 years ago. As soon as they moved to Louisiana, Lacey became involved in her school. She was making friends with all the neighbor kids. She liked to go outside and play. She even joined the volleyball team and seemed like the typical teenager.
Okay.
Lacey was described by her peers as highly intelligent, but a little bit immature for her age. Lacey really enjoyed things that her peers thought of as childish. But she was still very smart and very outgoing, but not much else is known about Lacey. At the age of 14, Lacey's parents decided to homeschool her, and that's when she just kind of disappeared from the public. Her friends from school and the neighbor kids just stopped seeing her come out as much as she used to. And it kind of seemed like Sheila and Clay were the reason that Lacey was being so isolated. They were the reason that she no longer went out into public. She was able to have a birthday party when she turned 18 years old, and she invited all of her school friends and just friends to come watch Disney movies, but at this point, these kids were 18 years old. They didn't want to sit around and watch Disney movies with her. The last time Lacey was seen in public was by her neighbor in 2007.
Damn.
This neighbor thought that Lacey looked very thin, but he just figured that she was exercising because she was using those weights that you can put around your ankles to walk around. And then Lacey is not ever seen again in public. In 2017, the neighbor did ask about Lacey, figuring that she had either gotten married or moved on, gone to college, or done something else with her life. But Clay told him that Lacey was still there, she was still at home. But the neighbor didn't press further. He didn't question why he didn't see her. He just kind of let things be.
Okay.
Then on January 3rd of 2022 at about 2 in the morning, there is a 911 call received from Sheila. Sheila says that her daughter has stopped breathing. When emergency services arrived, they realized that there was something very wrong with the situation. Lacey was laying on the couch, and it almost seemed like she had melted to it. She had all kinds of sores that had been opened all the way down to the bone. Her hair was knotted up, and there were maggots crawling around in it. And emergency services could tell that Lacey had been laying there for a very, very long time. There were feces and there was urine all over the couch.
Things humans were never meant to see.
The hell are they doing to her, man?
Man transforms into real werewolf.
We believe in werewolves, or is this just gonna be a edit? Go. I think this would be all over the internet, or if we've seen a real werewolf. If this turns out to be legit. Okay, we know this is Etta, right? Every single time he changes, it's like we can't see his face though. That's a high freaking quality edit. His name is Josh Rushling? Yeah, that's an edit.
As you can see, less than 2 minutes after moonrise, full transformation is achieved.
No, it ain't.
No human responses were elicited from the subject. However, he remained mostly calm throughout the night, growling only when approached. He seemed more afraid of us than we were of him.
This is Funky Town, one of the worst cartel execution videos explained. Okay, before I begin, this is a massive trigger warning. The video begins in some sort of room and there is music playing. The first song that plays is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, and the camera pans to the victim tied on the floor with some plastic wire, but the torture already began before the video starts. Because the victim looks like he already went through complete brutality. His hands have already been cut off and his face has been completely flayed, which means skinned. There is no skin on the victim's face at all, and his eyes have been gouged out. And there's an insane amount of blood on the floor. But the most messed up part is about this is that the victim is hooked up to some sort of IV, and the IV is pumping him with drugs to keep him alive and aware, making sure he felt everything happening to him. At the start of the video, they try and slit his throat with a sickle and press it against his jaw. But when the victim begins to scream, they shove a box cutter in his mouth to shut him up. His screams are absolutely gut-turning. They kept going from screaming to gurgling, from screaming to gurgling. And as the video progresses, they take the box cutter and slit his throat about 40 times. And keep in mind, the victim is still alive and aware of everything because of the drugs they are giving him to keep him alive. Also, the killers are mocking and laughing at the victim the entire time. They continue to try and slit his throat with the box cutter and were going at his neck numerous times, all while the song Funky Town was playing in the background, hence the name of the video. The killers kept having to physically restrain the victim, meaning there was still a lot of life left in him, and the amount of pain he had to be in is completely unimaginable. At one point in the video, a man had his foot on his chest, holding him down, and another time they had shoved a pole in his mouth, holding him in place. But the worst part about the video is towards the end, where the victim manages to loosen his arms from the restraints and immediately tries to touch his face. But remember, the victim has no face at all, no hands, and no eyes. But instinctively, the victim still tries to touch his face. It's absolutely horrifying, and the video then concludes. Keep in mind, the victim was still alive when the video ended, so who knows what else they did to him before he died. Because they were literally keeping him alive just to torture him. This victim went through so much pain and torment, and you can make an argument that nobody has ever been tortured as bad as this guy ever. I explain this based off pure memory from the first time I saw the video, because I won't dare watch it again because it's that gruesome. Everybody who saw videos like this always say Funky Town is the worst of the worst. And I honestly think that might be true, so please don't watch it and please don't search it.
This 16-year-old was sentenced to 50 years in prison, and you won't believe what he did. In 2022, Noah Nay shot a 5-year-old girl in the neck and shoulder in Oklahoma. This teen, who I swear looks like a 9-year-old, was riding in a stolen car and purposely shot inside a home where the little girl was playing. But again, this was no accident. No one did this for a gang initiation. Luckily, the little girl survived, but had the bullet hit a spot an inch away, she would have definitely died. Noah was arrested, but not long after, he escaped the juvenile detention center by jumping jumping offense. He was found 4 days later, but when he was put back into the detention center, he repeatedly assaulted staff. Noah was sentenced as an adult, but the judge said that in 2028, his sentence can be reduced if he's proved that he's changed.
Imagine getting stood up for a day and it causes you to become a key part of a murder trial. It was 2012 in Kentucky and Shayna Hoopers was 21 years old. She had just graduated from the University of Kentucky and was dating 29-year-old Ryan Poston. Ryan was an attorney and the pair was said to be very toxic. They'd been together for about a year and a half but were very on and off. On the night of October the 12th, things would end for good. Those close to Ryan knew he wasn't happy. He tried ending things with Shayna multiple times, but she refused to accept this. She would turn up to his house, refuse to leave, and they would end up getting back together.
Toxic.
On the 12th of October, the pair were having food at Ryan's parents' house, and they would end up in another argument. Ryan decided to end things once and for all, and to prove to Shayna that he was over her, he decided to go on a date with another woman the next night.
Oh.
The woman was the stunning Audrey Bolt, who was the current Miss Ohio. Audrey and Ryan had arranged to go to a bar the night after at 9:30 p.m. Audrey was really looking forward to it and was very confused when he never showed up. Meanwhile, Shayna had turned up to Ryan's house again without warning. After another massive argument, she took one of his guns and shot him 6 times. She then decided to call police to confess. Now, while she was being interviewed by police, she was acting incredibly bizarre. She twirled around the room and sang, "I did it, yeah, I killed him." She also sang Amazing Grace. Shayna tried to claim that she acted in self-defense, but she was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Audrey had to testify in the murder trial. However, in August 2016, Shayna was actually granted a new trial. This was because it was revealed that one of the original jurors was actually a felon. She was again found guilty though in her retrial and was sentenced to life. The baby-faced...
Man, that's just a sign. If you guys ain't a toxic relationship, man, just try to end it all because it can turn into something even worse, man.
Gangster that shot a little girl in the neck has been jailed for 50 years after a court heard that he knows the difference between right and wrong, but has no amenability to treatment. Noah Nay was sentenced as an adult for the 2022 shooting that saw the teen drive a stolen car and fire a gun towards the house in which the little girl was playing, hitting her in the neck and shoulder. It has been reported that his actions were part of the requirements for a gang initiation.
An American couple married for 75 years. They had one wish in common, a wish that shocked everyone. Jeanette, 96, and Alexander, 95. They started dating at the age of 8, were officially married in 1940, and live in San Diego, Calif. They have 5 sons and daughters and 16 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Some time ago, Alexander suffered an accidental fall that fractured his hip, and he was confined to his bed at home. He used a special bed. It was placed next to his wife Janet's bed. Soon after, Alexander lost interest in life and became weak. On this day, June 29th, Alexander lay in Janet's arms. The daughter informed her mother that her father had died. Janet said sadly, with tears in her eyes, "This is your wish, to pass away in my arms. I love you. Wait for me. Soon we will meet again." Surprisingly, what's on the calendar for June 29th, 75 years ago today? It was the day they were married. The next morning, their daughter found out. Her mother had also passed away peacefully. It turned out that their common wish was to pass away happily together in an embrace. Follow me. Get more true stories every day.
That is like a story that we can leave without coincidence, man. Like, that was their one true wish and it happened like just a day after each other, man. They were together that long. That's how they wanted to go out. That's really bizarre.
Here's every character I think that's going to be in the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. If you remember at the end of the movie, Abby ends up asking Mike, "Hey, when are we going to go back to see my friends? I want to see them." And Mike says, "You never know what's going to happen." Now, in my opinion, this movie's going to be based at least 5 to 15 years in the future. Now, hear me out. If we're following the plans of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 as a game, we have to go into the withered characters, because they've been untouched, unmaintenanced, and unloved for so long. We're going to be seeing withered characters in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Maybe not 15 years in the future, I may have dragged it a bit, maybe 3 to 5 years in the future. And as you guys know, all of the withered characters are a little bit more devious. And why are they more devious? Because these kids have been left alone for so long. They loved Abby, they loved hanging out with her. Yes, they wanted to kill her, but still. Withered Freddy, Withered Chica, look at Bonnie, she doesn't have a face. Withered Foxy, Golden Freddy. I also think we're going to be seeing the puppet as well, aka Mike's little brother. So hear me out, I'm going to be the first one to say it. When we get a Five Nights at Freddy's 2, we are going to get withered characters. It's going to be based at least 3 to 5 years in the future. Just look at Withered Bonnie. Imagine Abby pulls up, getting ready to see her friends, and all of a sudden sees Bonnie. My other theory is that they are going to be pissed. They've been left alone for way too long and miss their friend. And that is what's going to drive this next movie to be absolutely insane. Like and follow for more.
Yeah, this nightmare is real, and planes are literally flipping over when passengers get up from their seats. A flight attendant for JetBlue had to issue an emergency announcement, making everyone realize their worst nightmares had come true on the plane, with one woman leaving a grim and dark message saying she wasn't sure if she'd ever see her grandkids again. The flight attendant asked all passengers to spread out as their weight was believed to be causing the plane to flip over, telling everyone to move to the middle of the plane.
Very slowly, little by little, move towards the middle of the apron because apparently everything is like it tipped out.
With a tech expert saying this was so terrifying, he described it as the plane was about to do a backflip.
It felt like the plane was about to do a backflip.
Which begs the question of how safe are these planes to begin with. Many of the passengers had rushed to the rear of the plane when deplaning, which caused this, but there's still many questions which JetBlue does not have the answers for. While no one was injured, we don't know if this is something that can happen to all planes or if it's rare.
See how this fake thug reacted to a life sentence. In 2015, Jaleel Smith Riley was arrested for his involvement in a 2013 robbery that left Aaron Martin with a bullet in his head and Portia Brooks dead. Smith Riley pled guilty to the crime and was hoping to avoid a life without parole sentence. Prior to being sentenced, he cried and begged for leniency.
Consequences, man. The fake thug, bro.
His grandfather also spoke on his behalf.
He always come by to check on me and his grandmother. He always did. He worked in the church with us all.
When the judge spoke, Riley Smith didn't like what he heard.
Court defendant serve a term of life without parole. As to count 4, the offense of attempted murder.
Check it out.
This heartless thug will die in prison.
Hey man, you have to deal with the consequences. If you wanna be about that life, you gotta know what comes with it.
One of the most disgusting shock videos on the internet explained. I'm explaining this off memory and other people's comments. There is no way I watch this video again because it's that gross. The video is 1 minute long, and as it starts, you hear a piano track over the video and you see 2 girls making out. But at around 10 seconds in, it gets absolutely sickening. One of the girls gets a glass cup and defecates in it, filling it all the way to the top. A jump cut then occurs and it shows the 2 women licking the feces in the cup like it's ice cream. It cuts again and it shows one of the girls rubbing the feces around her mouth, and the video then cuts again, and it shows the 2 girls making out with feces in their mouth and all over their faces. The next scene, one of the girls sticks her fingers down her throat, trying to make herself vomit into the glass as the other girl licks it. The next scene, it shows one of the girls standing up and the other one is on her knees. The one standing up then pukes directly onto the face of the girl on her knees. The final scene shows both girls completely covered in feces as it's even overflowing their mouths. And this is where the video finally concludes. This video is absolutely sickening, and when I tell you not to watch it, don't watch it. I know I say that for all the videos I cover, but this one isn't brutal or gory. It's just plain out disgusting, and you really just don't want to see it. You can watch reactions on YouTube of people watching this for the first time. Joe Rogan even has his reaction video up from years ago.
Hey guys, do you remember Adam Johnson, the hockey player who suffered the fatal cut to his neck in a hockey game on October the 28th? Well, the player whose skate caused the injury has actually been arrested and charged with manslaughter. This is Matt Petgrave, probably not saying that right, but he is the player whose skate caused the injury to Johnson's neck. And news out today is saying that he has been arrested and charged with the manslaughter of Adam Johnson. Now, initially, I was kind of shocked at this news, and all of the footage that I saw, I do not think that it was intentional. But then when you go back and you watch the replay in slow motion, that kind of changes things. Apparently the hockey world and all of the hockey fans have been waiting on this to come. I'm going to add a clip in here that shows when the injury occurred during that hockey game, and you'll watch it through in regular time first, and then it will be played in slow motion, and I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. You can see it happens quickly there, but watch it in slow motion where Petgrave is in the red, he comes across and intentionally kicks that leg up, which slashes Johnson's neck and results in his death.
Here's how all of the missing children from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie passed away and became the animatronics. Well, as you guys know, little backstory, these kids ended up going to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. They all ended up disappearing in, I'm pretty sure, 1984, all because of William Afton. Wanted to run some experiments and see if he was able to combine children's souls with these animatronics. And let's just say he did his damn thing. Up first is Freddy. It is said that Freddy's original character was unalived by hiding, which kind of makes sense because you never really see Freddy doing any wild shit. I mean, you see him, but he's always kind of just like lurking or pretending to be still. Then have Foxy, said to be the soul of one of the kids that was running, hence the reason Foxy is always so fast and always running. We also have to take into the account the kid in the orange, who has Foxy's hook, and literally starts sprinting as soon as Mike gets too close. Then have Chica, who's said to have the embodiment of one of the kids that was screaming. It seems as though you always see Chica when she jump scares people in the games is she's screaming, which kind of makes sense. Then have Bonnie, who's said to be after one of the kids that fought back. He obviously didn't win. That shows why Bonnie's always so brawling. Then you have Golden Freddy, who's said to be the souls of 2 children. Which is supposed to be someone named Cassidy, but in the movie it's Mike's little brother. That's the theory. Like and follow for more.
Oh no.
These theories are crazy.
No.
I had thought that I had seen everything when it came to cults, but you are not prepared for what this cult believes. So HBO just released this documentary about the Love is One cult, which was run by this woman, Amy Carlson, who calls herself Mother God. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but she believed she was controlled by the spirit of Robin Williams, and this like yassified version of Saint Germain. Also, I cover a lot of dark stuff on this page, so you should follow along. She also said she could channel and get advice from this like galactic federation of dead celebrities. There's like Mr. Rogers, Carrie Fisher, Steve Irwin, and randomly Donald Trump, who is not dead. But Robin Williams is at the top, and so the cult believes they're getting a lot of advice through Robin Williams, so they'll say things like, so one of the beliefs that this cult has is that one day Robin Williams is going to arrive in a spaceship to take Mother God away so that she can spiritually ascend. He also told her that she can only be 103 pounds to get on the spaceship, which is why she's trying to lose a lot of weight. Eventually, Mother God starts getting sicker and sicker, and also bluer and bluer because of the colloidal silver supplements they won't stop giving her, and everyone thinks, oh my god, Robin Williams must be coming on a spaceship really soon to help Mother ascend. Eventually, she passes away, and guess what? Shockingly, Robin Williams does not descend in an intergalactic spaceship to come collect the 103-pound body of Mother God. And so the cult members just have her body. They don't know what to do with it. They thought Robin Williams was going to come. So they hang out with it for 12 days until the police finally show up. Anyways, this whole thing is a trip. You just gotta watch it to believe it. I'm seeing photos.
Should we check that out, Seekers, man? People who be getting caught up in those groups, man, they be into some weird things. But to say that they thought Robin Williams was going to come down in a spaceship, that's just one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard watching these videos together with you guys. Be careful, man, of those groups.
Show a 13-year-old boy. Police say he murdered his mother, and before that, he's standing over her in a vulnerable position as he's getting ready to her to death. Derek Rosa snapped a selfie after the crime, his hands smeared with blood.
No, I'm not her. I just have a little bit of blood on my hand.
I need to know if your mom is breathing.
She's 10 minutes.
Okay, and when did you do that?
Blood all over the floor.
Where is your sister? Your sister's still there?
She's sleeping.
She's sleeping, okay.
Excuse me, miss, what do I do if she wakes up?
If you wake up, just let me know. I need to know. Do you think we can help your mom?
Miss, she's dead. I took pictures and I told my friends about it. Was that bad?
You told who about it?
My friends.
Who did you send the pictures to?
My friend. I don't know his real name because he is an online friend, but his name was a lot.
Cell phone video shows the moment a teenage boy surrendered with his hands up.
His demeanor, he was very quiet, apologetic,
very respectful. Not what you would expect walking into that home and seeing that crime scene.
The 13-year-old, identified as Derek Rosa, is currently in secure detention. When officers arrived to Unit 201 inside the Amelia Oaks apartment complex, they found the victim in her bedroom with multiple wounds, just inches from her newborn baby girl.
Next to her was a crib, and inside of that crib, a 14-day-old baby that fortunately was not injured.
Places that will disappear in your lifetime. Venice, Italy is a beautiful place, but it will disappear in your lifetime. Venice is slowly sinking.
What?
The canals cause many floods, and these floods are causing Venice to tilt east. Experts say that by 2100 the city will be uninhabitable. The Great Wall of China is amazing, but it will soon be gone. 1/3 of the wall has already been destroyed. This is mainly due to natural damage, for example climate change, but people walking on it and local settlements stealing bricks from it has also damaged the wall badly. Experts say that within decades the wall may be gone. San Francisco is an amazing city. It's known for earthquakes, but in 2016 geologists found something scary. They found 2 earthquake fault lines underneath the San Francisco Bay. This could destroy San Francisco, and there's a 75% chance this could happen before 2086. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia is one of the most amazing things in the world, but it won't be around for much longer. It's already decreased more than 50% of its original size, and lots of the vibrant coloured corals are now turning white. Some believe the Great Barrier Reef may disappear by 2030.
Damn, that's just in a couple of years. What the hell? All these places, man, that's about to disappear. I gotta see them before they go, man. The Great Wall, Venice, Italy. Hey, man, I want to travel. What the hell? I'm gonna have to put that on my list.
This is one of the worst true crime cases I ever covered, and this is a massive trigger warning. In 2007, the boy on the right named Gabriel Kuhn, who was 12 years old, was killed by Daniel Petrie, who was 16 and on the left. Daniel Petrie and Gabriel Kuhn became good friends and began playing an online role-playing game called Tibia. At one point of the game, Gabriel asked Daniel for 20,000 virtual cash to clear the stage. Gabriel borrowed money from Daniel to use in the game and then refused to pay him back. Gabriel then blocked Daniel on everything, and this made him furious, and he went to Gabriel's house to pay him a visit. A couple of days before the murder, Daniel called the home phone of Gabriel, and his mom answered. She explained that she would be out of town and that her son would be home alone if they wanted to play, completely unaware of the boys falling out. And on August 23rd, 2007, Daniel went to Gabriel's house and knocked on the door. Nobody answered, and Daniel kept knocking, but eventually Gabriel started speaking to Daniel through the door. Daniel told Gabriel to unlock the door and let him in, and if he apologized to him, everything would be fine. Believing this, Gabriel unlocked the door and let Daniel in. And after entering the house, Daniel locked the door behind him. Daniel then brutally assaulted Gabriel. Gabriel tried his best to defend himself, but he failed to do so. Daniel was older, bigger, and stronger. Gabriel was dripping in blood after being brutally beaten by Daniel. Daniel then laughed at the terrified Gabriel and took him to the bedroom, where he then sexually assaulted him. Gabriel cried, but this made Daniel even more cruel. After all of this, Gabriel threatened Daniel, saying he will tell his mother everything that happened, but this only made Daniel more mad. And in a fit of rage, Daniel took a cord from a gaming console and wrapped it around Gabriel's neck and strangled him with it until he went limp. Daniel assumed Gabriel was dead, and believing this, Daniel tried to move and hide the body in the crawl space leading to the bedrooms. However, the body was too heavy, and after realizing this, Daniel searched the house for sharp tools, and eventually he found a kitchen knife and a hacksaw. Daniel then returned to Gabriel's body, and in order to make it lighter, he took the knife and hacksaw and began cutting at the top of Daniel's leg to remove it, and as Daniel cut into Gabriel's leg, he woke up. Gabriel wasn't dead. He let out a blood-curdling scream, but Daniel restrained him, making sure to twist and turn the blade to make it even more painful. Eventually, Daniel dismembered his right leg and moved to his left. And after severing both of his legs, Gabriel passed away. His autopsy suggested he was still alive throughout the whole ordeal, and he eventually died from shock and blood loss. After Daniel finished the dismemberment, he tried to hide the body again, and he wrapped a cable and wire around Gabriel's body. but the body was still too heavy and Daniel then fled the house. Gabriel's body was discovered by his brother, and the body was left by the hallway door and the legs in the hacksaw tube. Daniel Petrie was admitted to a juvenile center in September 2007 to only 3 years. This is due to Brazil's laws of sentencing minors. And to make you realize how evil Daniel was, when the judge asked him if he had any last words of remorse, Daniel said this: "Gabriel was a coward and a thief. He burns in hell right now where I sent him. And when I die, I will find him in hell and finish my revenge." It's also worth saying that the photos of the crime and Gabriel's body have surfaced on the internet and nobody knows how they got there. I highly recommend not to look at them due to the graphic nature of them, and they would definitely be the worst crime scene photos you will ever see. It's honestly insane how Daniel is walking free today. May Gabriel rest in peace.
This is the case of 19-year-old Alexi Treviso and how she went to the hospital complaining of back pain, but ended up getting charged with murder. Alexi Treviso was a 19-year-old senior in high school living in Artesia, New Mexico. She was on the varsity cheerleading team, and she was dating her boyfriend Devin for about 2 years. Honestly, Alexi just seemed like a typical teenage girl. Prom was coming up soon, her graduation was around the corner, and she was already thinking about what university she was going to go to in the fall. January 26, 2023, that day was pretty much just like any other day for 19-year-old Alexi. She went to cheerleading practice that day and got home in the afternoon. She spent some time with her family and then she went to bed. However, she was woken up in the middle of the night with severe back pain. This was like not normal back pain. Like Alexi was in so much pain that her mother decided to take her to the hospital. Alexi and her mother Rosa arrived at the Artesia General Hospital in the early morning hours of January 27th. Alexi checked in and told the doctors that she had really bad pain in her back, so they wanted to do a test to see if maybe she had a UTI or a kidney infection, since back pain can be a symptom of both of those things. So they're getting ready to do those tests, and then they asked Alexi, "Are you pregnant?" Which is a very common thing to ask. I mean, if you're a girl and you've gone to the doctor before, I feel like they always ask you if you're pregnant. On top of that, experiencing back pain can be a symptom of pregnancy. So the doctor asked Alexi, "Are you pregnant?" And she says no, that she's still a virgin and that she hasn't engaged in any sexual activity. So the doctor's like, okay, perfect. And they send Alexi over to go get a CAT scan done so that they can check for kidney stone. And while she's getting that test done, the doctors decide to still do a pregnancy test just in case, because you never know. So they did a urine test, and when the results came back, they were positive. Alexi was pregnant. Now, of course, pregnancy tests can sometimes be inaccurate, so the doctors wanted to check her blood just to make sure that she was actually pregnant. And while all of this is going on, Alexi tells the doctors that she needs to go to the bathroom. Like, she has to go number 2, and it's coming out, like, right now. So she gets up from the hospital bed, and she literally runs to the bathroom holding her butt because she feels like it's going to come out. She locks herself inside the bathroom, and she's in there for quite some time. Doctors and the staff at the hospital are getting kind of worried because she's been in there for a while, and they know that she's pregnant. So they're thinking maybe she's having some type of miscarriage or something else is happening. They knock on the door, but Alexi refuses to come out. At one point, her mother Rosa also goes over to knock on the door, but Alexi says that she's just having trouble going number 2 and that she'll be out shortly. At this point, Alexi has been in the bathroom for more than like 20 minutes. So the doctors tell her, if you don't open the door right now, we're going to unlock it. Before the doctor can unlock the door, Alexi just opens up and starts walking back to her room. One of the doctors looks inside the bathroom just to see, what happened, and they do see that there was all over the floor. They asked Alexi, what's going on? And she said that she simply got her period. Call over the cleaning lady to come clean up the bathroom, and when she starts to take out the trash, notices that the trash bag feels heavier than usual. So Leela, the housekeeper, goes to look inside the garbage bin, and when she pulls out a bag, she finds a baby. The baby was inside a clear plastic bag at the bottom of the bin. Okay, more in part 2.
Never wake up a sleepwalker.
Do you want me to wake him up?
They're laughing. This ain't funny though.
This girl was freaking out when her sister got out of bed and started sleepwalking.
Stop staring at me like that. Alexis! Mom! Mom!
It's like a spirit takes them over.
She's just standing here staring at me. Just relax. Okay. I gotta go. Sienna.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Follow
for more.
Crazy sleepwalking stories. What the hell? Okay, man. You got proof, man. I'm not to wake up and damn sleepwalk. YouTube, you guys, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys subscribe. Hit that like button, man. Hit that post notifications, man. Also, tell me down below, man, if you guys enjoy the changes to the channel, man. Like I said, I'm coming back on the talking, letting the videos play through, man. I fixed the audio for you guys, man. Some more changes are coming to the channel. I just want to grow this, grow our channel to be the best it possibly can be. It's May, man. Haven't missed a day of uploading. Like I said, maybe in May you might see me do double uploads on the day. I don't know if I should do that yet. I don't want to overflood you guys, but if you guys down for it, tell me down below, man. I can do some double uploads for you guys. I'm out. Peace, seekers.